Ryan, man, welcome back to this special reunion episode of the 80's Glam Metalcast. How are you?
I'm great, man. Happy to be back.
Yeah. Well, you know, people got to know in rock and metal, when you say farewell, it's never really over, right? The bands always come back, and I'm not saying the podcast is back. At first, we are gonna talk about a cool topic tonight: hair metal lost tracks. But we want to celebrate that our CD came out, something we worked really hard on, and the METALKÄST CD is complete, man. What do you think about that?
It is, I don't know how long in the making, but it's been a while, and I'm proud of it, and I'm happy. I have it in my hand for the first time today, just about an hour before we did this topic. Boom, it arrived in the mail, so it's really cool to hold the physical copy.
Yeah, it's really been going on for about over a year. We first started, and when the podcast was still going, we released Heavy Metal Rambo. That was the first track that we put out. He's a heavy metal Rambo. He got you up for death tonight. He's a heavy metal Rambo. Put out a lot of tracks after that. And now we've got a complete CD. There's tracks on Spotify. If that's your thing, you can buy a physical copy, or you can listen to a virtual copy. We'll put links all in the video. So, yeah, pretty exciting stuff.
Exciting, and it's something to be proud of for sure.
I think it would make sense if we ask each other some questions about this CD. What do you think? Because I don't think anybody else is going to be beating down our door to interview us, but we can interview each other. What do you think?
That would be great. I'm ready for that.
Awesome, man. Well, I got to ask first, what was your favorite song out of all these songs? You got a favorite?
Funny, I came up with 10 questions for you, and I kind of have one similar. I'm sure we'll have a few, but It is tough, dude. It is tough because all along this process, I would message you and be like, man, I'm really feeling this right now. This is a great one. Like, that's so cool. I kind of lost this part of it, and here we are. But right now, I would say I don't have a favorite child, but of my children on this album, I would say right now I'm really loving Fighters. I'm loving Don't Tell Me No.
Come on. Don't tell me no. 'Cause there's a hook on you. Nice.
Party's Over is killer.
I'm lost, and I'm told we gotta go. Nothing wrong with a party on the radio.
And then the classic Heavy Metal Rambo. Yeah,
those are all good ones, man, and good picks. If I had to pick one myself, I think I would go with Headbangers Ball. For some reason, I like how the album kicks off with that track. Headbangers Ball. It's time to let go. I really like that, but there's things I like about all of them. Like I said, it's very hard to pick.
It is hard to pick. It's cool. It's like albums speak to you differently throughout the years, and maybe in a year I'll have I don't know, Your Last Breath is my favorite, or Human too. Who knows? Well, in terms of the name, how did you come up with the name Metalcast?
I don't know. I think we did it together, didn't we? We kind of said, well, this whole project spawned from the podcast, which was the 80's Glam Metalcast, and why don't we just call this thing Metalcast? So I think it was kind of a mutual thing that we came up with, from what I remember.
Yeah, I think we were. So I remember, this is great. I'm like asking you questions, and I already know the answer.
So what are you going to ask? No, I'm just kidding.
This is like political news, but no. I believe. Remember, you're like, well, what should we call the band? I'm like, well, maybe we should do like a geographical thing, like an east-west thing, something like that. Yep. And then it was you that were like, maybe we should make it in reference to the 80's Glam Metalcast. And I was like, perfect. Let's just spell it different and throw the Motley Crue umlauts on there, and we have a metal title.
What I think is hard too is, and I can understand when we don't, like, let's just say our favorite artist gets asked something and they don't remember how it all went down. I can kind of understand, because now that this project has went on for a year, like if you went back and asked me what happened a year ago, like who wrote this part or who wrote that, I don't really remember. You know what I mean? It's funny how I kind of get why people don't remember things, because some of it it's just like a blur. So
totally, I completely agree.
What about your lyric ideas? where do some of these ideas come from? Is there a certain lyricist that you look for, as an inspiration? Where did some of the lyric ideas come from?
Yeah, well, kind of when you would send me a riff, it would inspire something. Mm-hmm. And usually, the way it would work is sometimes you would shoot me a title you had in mind, so I could kind of frame the verses around what the topic chorus was gonna be. And sometimes it just, you'd send me a riff and it was like, United in Metal.
We are strong together. We are one forever. We will fight till we die. United in Metal.
Just say that one. Like, that was gonna be an anthem.
Yep.
You kind of kicked it off like, hey, let's do an anthem. And I remember me saying to you, like, I want to do a Still of the Night. I want to do an epic, an anthem. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're like, well, I got this riff. And I was like, boom, anthem status right there. So that's kind of how that would go.
Yeah.
So I'll lead into this one. Can you describe the writing process of writing a song remotely?
Oh, right. Yeah, because, what's cool about the way we did all the songs is that there's different ways they were written. There were certain songs. There's someone in particular, like I think Human Zoo was a song where you had the vocal, melody, and the lyrics all written, and I just had to write music to whatever you wrote. And then there was I'm like a half a song guy, so like sometimes I'd come up with some of the words and like a song title, and then you take it the rest of the way. You know what I mean? So I feel like the process was always different. Different songs were written different ways. And then a lot of times we would rewrite each other's songs where you'd bring me something, I'd say, well, I like this, but let's change this word or this line. And I really feel like it really worked pretty smooth, even though it was long distance. And like you said, sometimes it was sending you a riff and you would just come up with lyrics to it and stuff like that. So it was really varied on how it worked. Some songs were kind of like, the brainchild of one person, but everybody, like between the two of us, had our hands in almost every song. So it was a good process.
Yeah, and it was super smooth. And I was always like, dude, pick this thing apart. Like, here's what I got so far, but I'm not really feeling this line. And you'd be like, yeah, me neither. Why don't you say this? I'd be like, perfect, brilliant. I'm glad I got you here. Shit like that. And then in Too Far Away, the ballad, that was the other one where you'd said like, all right, we got to come up with a ballad. I'm like, okay. And then, bam, I came up with the lyrics and melody, sent it to you, and I'm like, here's the hard part, and now you get to write music around existing lyrics and melody. Good luck. And you're like, fuck, I've never done it this way.
Yeah.
But it worked. It worked killer, dude. So, like, that was the one that was completely in reverse of how kind of the rest were.
So my question to you is, how many times did you want to kill me during the process?
Oh man, never. I can never kill you, man. No. There were several times when I kind of knew that something just tells you when it's right or wrong. And like, for instance, I can't remember what song it was, but I sent it to you and I was like, dude, I'm not feeling this. Oh, it was Human Zoo. Because the key changed.
Oh yeah.
And you were like, well, some of it's good, and I knew it. Like, I set it off, and I had spent a lot of time doing it, and I was like, this sucks. And I sent it to you, and you're like, well, I was like, I know, and you're like, you got to redo it, and I'm like, oh, I know. I spent so much time on this, but the key is different. This was the old key. I screwed that up. Yep. So no, I never wanted to kill you. I just wanted a good product, man. And every time, I'd shoot it your way and be like, all right, again, pick it apart. Tell me what I need to re-sing, whatever. And it was just, and that's like the ease of this remote GarageBand stuff. You're not having, press for time. There's no cost involved. It was great.
No, exactly. We hit some bumps in the road along this process. Obviously, if you work on something for over a year, there's no way it's all going to go smooth. What kind of kept you going during that time? Like, say when we hit a rough spot or we hit a bump in the road, what kept you motivated?
The riffs, yeah, you kept hitting me with riffs, and I believed in them. They sounded killer. They're exactly true to form. There's, like you wrote a press release. I added some stuff to it, and part of it is, why does this sound? Why do you produce this sound? And it is simple answer. This is all I know.
Right.
I don't go into music much past the early 90s stuff, and I stay with that style. Now, I like other types of music, but this is what I know. I can't write a rock song in the vein of your new modern metal. I just don't do it. I don't care for it that much. So that is what kept me going, pretty much, just because I believed in the riffs and what we had already so much.
Nice. One thing that people probably will never know unless we share it with them, which we're going to share it with them now, is that we had about 5 songs that were done, and we had another member with us that was contributing like the drum programming and the rhythm and the lead. And with a project like this is time consuming, and sometimes people just have to bow out, and it's no hard feelings, totally understand it. But at that point, we were like halfway through, and that could have been a point where we could have said, all right, man, screw it. We lost a guy that was really helping us out a lot. Let's just call it a day, or just release an EP. But we stuck with it, because we believed in what we were doing. And what's crazy is that, before I was playing bass, and I'm doing writing, and I'm doing a little bit of singing here and there. And then I had to step in and kind of become like a rhythm guitar player, which I didn't think I necessarily had the chops to do before, but then I kind of figured out how to get the right sound, the sound that sounded similar to the first 5 songs that we did. And we also recycled drum beats, which that's something that nobody else would know, is that basically took the old drum beats from the first 5 songs and sped them up, chopped them up, did all kinds of weird things with them, and reused them so it had a consistent sound. And it's things that, maybe now that I say that, somebody could pick up on, but I don't think if you didn't know that, you would never pick up on it. So definitely was some creative things happening behind the scenes that got us through any kind of low points or roadblocks. But it's pretty satisfying to get at the end and have the 10 songs and say, hey, we did it. We didn't give up. So
absolutely, yeah, and it's cool to have the various people that have contributed to it as well.
Oh yeah, because we would be lost without them. So everybody who was involved, many thanks. You're all in the liner notes, so
exactly.
We got you. We appreciate you.
Here's one for you. Okay, for listeners that haven't heard the material yet, what famous band could you compare the album to?
That was something I was going to ask you too. I was going to ask you to describe the METALKÄST sound. Honestly,
I got you, because I don't know who I would say.
I really don't know either, because it's I think it's if you took a bunch of things and you put it in a blender, right? I think that's what you'll get, because I think when you listen to your vocals, I feel like sometimes you give off a vibe of early Vince Neil and stuff like that. And then I think when people hear my vocal, when I sing a line with you or do a bridge or something like that, I give off a Gene Simmons or an Alice Cooper vibe. So I think it's you could picture Motley Crue and Poison and Alice Cooper and Kiss and Rat and Doc, and I think all those kind of riffs are in there. So to me, if there's really, you can't say look at some bands, no offense to a band like Dirty Looks, but when you listen to Dirty Looks, you say they sound like AC/DC, right?
Totally.
But
yeah.
When you listen to this, let the listener be the judge. But I've sent you messages from people that have heard it have told me crazy stuff. Some people have said Judas Priest. Some people said King Diamond. Some people have said all kinds of stuff that I don't even listen to King Diamond. So I don't know where that comes from. But I just think everybody's going to hear something different. But I can't really put my finger on it. I just think it's a bunch of elements all mixed together to create an original sound, and that's pretty much it. So
yeah, I'd have to agree with you there, because when I wrote that, I'm I don't even know if I would have a band that I can compare it to, because some of the shit's Racer X, and some of the stuff is TNT, and some of it's Motley Crue, and it's I think that I can say I could tell where some of my pronunciation would be Joe Elliott, Vince Neil, Bon Scott.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sometimes I can hear your Joe Elliott influence too. Yep.
Yeah, and it's not me saying I sound like them. If anybody did say that, I would be extremely happy if they did say that. But I'm talking about more so just like the way I pronounce words. I'm like, I sounded like how David Coverdale says the word time. He says it like the name Tom, and like, it's that kind of stuff. It's like you obviously you listen to this stuff as much as you and I do, and I'm gonna emulate it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we're wicked excited about it. 10 tracks. I hope everybody checks it out. We'll put the links in the description. If you're a physical copy person, there's a way to get that. If not, go on Spotify, YouTube, and there's also going to be a digital link to check out the whole CD. So I hope people check it out. It's basically what you'd expect, man, like from us, guys like us. True to form,
that's right.
80s, hair metal, glam metal, hard rock, whatever you want to call it. But that's what we're shooting for. That's just what comes out of us naturally, and that's what it is. So check it out, man.
Well, I got one more for you.
Okay, one more. Give it to me.
If Frontiers came knocking, would you answer?
Dude, if anybody came knocking, I would answer. But I'm already signed to METALKÄST Records, and it's working out great. So
perfect.
All right, so the true topic of the night is hair metal lost tracks. This could be B-sides, stuff that was just on a soundtrack, could be an unreleased demo, but there's a lot of them out there, man, and I've been digging quite a few of them lately. I know you're always digging deep. You're on the Hair Metal Guru podcast and other ones, and you're always, digging deep, looking through shit, finding different things. So I'm excited to talk through this, man. So whenever you're ready, why don't you hit me with your number 10?
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't really have an order, so I'm just going to kind of throw them out because they're all really cool. So I'm just going to throw out Hardline. First of all, it's, I got to throw out Hardline. I got to get back to our roots,
Gotta
talk about Hardline.
Got to do Hardline.
The song is called Love Leads the Way, and it's a 1992 Double Eclipse outtake, and it's very moody with a big chorus, and there's albums like this where you go, well, they didn't really need another song, because I really enjoy the songs on Double Eclipse, but there's songs like this where you go, damn it, how could they leave this thing off? So, again, I'm going to say this kind of throughout the episode of, if you haven't heard it, seek it out on a copy from Japan, or easier, just YouTube it. But yeah, it's called Love Leads the Way.
That's exactly my sentiment on a lot of these. Is like, how did this not make the album? But the cool thing now is that, like, when you're really you're really into the Hardline debut, it's great to have another track. You know what I mean? That you didn't have before. That's from that era. So I think that's the cool thing about all that. So yeah, I totally know where you're coming from.
Awesome.
All right, my number 10. I got to go for all my usuals. Tonight I'll be going through all my usual bands that I always go through. My number 10 is Loudness. Slap in the Face. This is basically like, it was a single that came out after On the Prowl. That was the last true album that they did with Visera. And then I think they did like a single in 91, or maybe this was 92, somewhere around there, to kind of let people know what direction they were going in. But whatever happened, Visera was out, and they ended up getting the guy from EZO to do the next record of the 1992 self-titled one. But this song is great. It kind of shows you what the next Mike Visera Loudness album would have been like. It's very heavy. It's wicked catchy. And it's kind of like that heavy hair metal like we hear from like Kiss, Revenge, and Dio, Strange Highways, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's like the 80s and 70s bands taking it to the next level, the heavy stuff. So, real cool song. I'm a big Loudness guy, big Visera guy, and I recommend people checking that out.
That's cool. I've never heard that, so I look forward to it. And the way you described it sounds exactly how I often give my Vince Neil 1992 rant about how I wish they would have stuck with the Primal Scream recipe. Yes. And it sounds very similar. Like, that's what you would have gotten a whole album like that. It would have been so killer.
I know.
And here we are.
I know. All right, man. What do you got next?
Whitesnake doing Looking for Love.
I hear it calling to me, calling my name.
from the 1987 album Outtake.
Ooh,
and
yeah,
it's a. Have you heard this one? It's a real moody one.
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I just don't know if they could have afforded another song with "love" in the title. It would have gotten a bit much. So, but yeah, it's cool. It would have been maybe like my 5th or 6th favorite on there or something like that. 87 is like a greatest hits. So it's like it would have been an album track where you're like, that's a good song, and I don't skip it. But again, they probably just had too many good ones.
Yeah. Yep. Now that you say that, I forgot about this one I wanted to put on by Whitesnake was Sweet Lady Luck. I think that was a leftover from Slip of the Tongue, but made it on the greatest hits. That's a great song too.
Agreed. Yep, very much.
But I forgot about that one when I was doing my list, and when you brought up Whitesnake, then it came to my mind. So
honorable.
I'll piggyback on you. Okay, my number 9 is Winger. Winger's got a lot of cool unreleased songs and B-sides, but I'm going with All I Ever Wanted. This is the B-side to Miles Away, and wicked catchy. Like you said before, I'm surprised it didn't make the album. It almost sounds a little bit more like the Winger debut than In the Heart of the Young, so maybe that's why it didn't make it. But I like it. It's a great song, and check that one out.
I think you had told me about that a while back, and I'm actually looking at Spotify right now because, that's the one. It's got kind of like the very stock cover, almost looks like a piece of like binder paper.
Yeah.
And it says Winger, All I Ever Wanted. Yep. And I think you pointed me in the direction of this years ago, and I remember going, ooh, that's such a good song. Like, I can't believe I've never heard that. So, it's on Spotify, and I remember really liking it, but I couldn't tell you much about it right now.
There's a lot, and if you go through that whole demo anthology album, there's a ton of great songs, and it's just weird that they didn't use them on their albums. And one thing I just want to throw out is the other day I was doing my lawn, and I was listening to my headphones, and something popped on my playlist, and it was the Junkyard Dog from Pull, and that song is so heavy and so catchy by Winger. It's not a lost track, but it's a good track. I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
How much I love Junkyard Dog by Winger. So
that's great. That's a great. I saw them do that live, and I wasn't as familiar with Pull at the time, and I was like, "Holy shit, what a good song!" And I've been a big fan of it ever since. So good call.
Good stuff. All right, man. What you got next?
I got AC/DC doing "Down on the Borderline." Outtake from the Razor's Edge, and this is one where it would have been in there. Like they got some song, like the last song on the album is called "If You Dare." It's kind of an odd song. It's my least favorite on the album. If this one were on there, I think it would have rounded out the album a little bit better. So this is one where I kind of wish they would have had it. But "Down on the Borderline." It's on the Backtracks box set, I believe.
Oh, okay, cool. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool era of AC/DC. Their poppy big era, So
that's right.
Big time. All right, for me, I got Pretty Boy Floyd. And I got Slam Dunk. And this, you know this song?
No, I do not.
Oh, you gotta check this song out. This is right up your alley. It's kind of like if you took the song Cherry Pie and you made it just a little bit sleazier and a little bit punkier, and it found itself on the Switch soundtrack. It's a movie with Ellen Barkin. Never seen it, but from '91. I don't know if this was either a leftover from Leather Boys or if this was part of the stuff they were working on. It's probably the latter. There's probably new material that they were working on that was going to be on the album that had like songs like "Tonight Belongs to the Young" and all that kind of stuff that they kind of leaked out, years later. But just gives you a little glimpse, man. I just wish we would have gotten a true Pretty Boy Floyd, second album around '91, but it just didn't happen.
Damn. Okay, cool. I like this kind of homework, so I'm looking forward to it.
Giving you some new tracks.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, what do you got next?
Motley doing Rodeo. Girls.
Yeah, it's a good song. Yep.
Yeah, and this is one where I go, how did you leave this off? Like, I think we talked about it once.
We did.
You and I, and you said it was too much like Home Sweet Home.
Yes, and lyrically it sounds a lot like Home Sweet Home. Not musically, but lyrically it's got the same vibe. Yep.
Yeah, because I could not believe when I heard this. I think it was when they first re-released everything, like in the early 2000s. And I was like, what? How did they leave this off? Like, this would have carried the album to, at least another million or so, because they had You're All I Need, which I really like, but it wasn't a huge hit. No. This would have been kind of big. So, I don't know. It's kind of odd that they kept it underground all this time.
Yeah. Crew's a weird one. Rodeo is pretty good, and there's some other cool stuff that was on that Supersonic and Demonics album. Like, there was a couple cool songs out there, like Sinners and Saints or whatever it is on there. That's a pretty cool song. But honestly, there's a lot of Motley Crue stuff that didn't make albums, and you kind of hear it and you kind of say, I understand why I didn't make the album. You know what I mean? Like songs like Get It For Free, I think was supposed to be on Dr. Feelgood. It's not very good. You know what I mean? So I get why certain songs don't make the albums. But no, Rodeo is very cool.
Yeah, totally.
All right, next up for me, I got Brittany Fox. And the song, so I don't know if you ever heard this one, Turn On, from 1991. Oh, yeah. It was on an album that was based on Nintendo. It was on a Nintendo-themed album called White Knuckle Shuffle, okay? And it's got Tommy Paris, and it sounds great. I think it's better than some of the songs that are actually on Bite Down Hard, personally. Or it's just as good. I don't know why I didn't make the album, but maybe it was a little too much louder. I don't know. But you know this one?
I do, and I think I'm just looking now to see if this is the source of how I know it. Is it on Long Way to Live? Let me see.
Yes. Yeah. It's on Long Way to Live.
That's right.
That's how you so
that's why I know it, because I was always wondering where that song came from, to be honest, because I really liked it on the live album.
So there you go. It's on the White Knuckle Shuffle, the Nintendo album. And one more, I do, when pulling your tricks, I'll do like a part B. There's Living on the Edge, which has Dizzy Dean, that was on the Iron Eagle 2 soundtrack. That's a pretty cool song, too. I think that found its way on one of their greatest hits or something like that. So Britney's got some cool unreleased tracks out there.
Yeah, that's another cool one. I'm glad you brought those up.
Yeah, nice. What do you got next?
Here's where I got Poison doing Living for the Minute. And it's an outtake off Open Up and Say Ah. And I actually listened to it again today to refresh myself. And I thought they could have replaced some of them on this that album with some of the kind of bluesier shit they had and put this on there, and I would have been pretty stoked.
Yes, I was thinking the same exact thing, man. Yep.
So
that's a great one. I remember, aging myself, I bought the single for Every Rose Has Its Thorn back in #88, and
nice.
I remember the B-side. I remember hearing that song back then, thinking like, "Wow, this is a great song. I can't believe this isn't on the album." And now with older ears, I'm like, "Geez, let's get rid of Good Love or something like that, and put this on there," because this one, not that it's super heavy, but it's a little more chuggy than some of that bluesier stuff that's on Open Up and Say Ah. The only gripe about this song for me is I think the chorus isn't raw enough. Like, is it living for the minute? It's like too happy or something.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be like gang vocals or something like that, a little bit nastier. But the chorus, the way they sing the chorus is kind of goofy. I will say that. But I think overall it's a great, catchy track. It's got a little bit of a crunch, a little bit of a chug to it. But I'm with you. It's on my list. I put it a little higher, but it's on my list.
All right, cool.
All right, next up for me, I gotta go Kiss.
It's my life, it's my life. Do what I wanna, do what I wanna, do what I like. It's my life, it's my life.
there's so many, dude. I could have did a whole list on Kiss, but the song that I want to focus on is "It's My Life." It's a song that it was supposed to be on Creatures of the Night. It didn't make it. It's one of Gene Simmons' coolest anthems. It's sad that it didn't make like an official album. He gave it to Wendy O. Williams when she did her solo album. It showed up there. I think that was like in '84 or something like that, and he produced it. And then it made the Kiss box set. So, and I think it might have been a B-side to some of the Psycho Circus singles, because once again, they were throwing this around and they re-recorded it and they wanted it to be on Psycho Circus. Why, it didn't make it, I have no idea. But it's a great song. Like I said, it just pops up randomly, but it never really made an official album. But great Gene song.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know that one. I'll have to check it out.
All right, man. What you got next?
Here's where I got Y&T doing Wild If I Wanna. And this appeared on a movie called Out of Bounds. It was on the soundtrack. It's from 1986. But then the way I came to know it is it's on one of their box sets.
Yeah.
There's a 2-disc unreleased deal. And it's a really cool song. It's the type of Y&T that you would like. It's very contagious-y Y&T. So it, big late 80s type chorus. And the chorus is actually really strong, and they started playing it live when I saw them shortly after this box set deal was released. They played it live, and I was really pleasantly surprised. So
nice.
Yeah, it's those soundtrack songs are kind of the hidden gems because they're very deep.
Yeah, they definitely are. Next up for me, not a band that's really hair metal, but I think this song has some hair metal elements to it, and then maybe that's why it didn't make the official release, but it's Sabotage. And it's the song Shotgun Innocence. It was supposed to be on Edge of Thorns. It's got a real hooky big chorus, and maybe that's why they put it on there, because it just really didn't fit with the rest of the material. But it's got Zach Stevens singing. It's a great tune. Finally found its way, I think, on the American album Poets and Madmen as a bonus track or something weird like that. But really, really strong. So you got to check this one out. I'll send it to you later. You would really like this, because I know you like that era of Sabotage, and this is, just like I said, a little bit more catchier and hookier than they usually do. Really cool, though. Really cool song.
Yeah, it sounds like something I'd really like. And when you bring this up, I wonder why this Sabotage thing is never in the discussion of bands that switch singers and still had success. Like,
yeah,
they had a ton of success. I mean, that might even be my favorite album by them. Even though I love the earlier material, I love Zach Stevens and I love this album. And I'm like, do I really like this more? And it's kind of the same thing with Britney Fox. Like, I can honestly say Bite Down Hard is my favorite, but I love the rest of it. So, yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, Sabotage they became the biggest they ever were, at least like sales and chart wise, with Edge of Thorns. I mean, it's no doubt. And what's crazy is a really hard time for metal. It was '93, so how they pulled that out of their ass, I don't think they know. But it was just good fortune for them for that one album at least. So yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, here I am pulling out all the old school heavy hitters. This one I'm going Def Leppard on the next one.
You got it. You got
something I want. You got something I need.
I've already had AC/DC Hardline and Whitesnake and Y&T, so I have to do Def Leppard. But I got a song called "I Want to Be Your Hero," and it's a Hysteria outtake. And if there were, any of these where you could say they didn't need another one, this is the album, because they had 7 singles. And personally, I probably would have replaced the song "Rocket" or "Women," which I like both, but at this point they're my least favorite of two of my least favorite songs. I would have absolutely put this on that record. It's amazing how there's a song that's this humongous that maybe 10% of Def Leppard fans actually know about. So For those of you who have never heard it, I Want to Be Your Hero, Hysteria outtake. Amazing, amazing.
Where did it show itself? Did it come out on anything ever? Or?
Yes, on Retroactive.
Okay, because this sounds familiar to me. So like I've heard of this song somehow. I've read about
it. Yeah. It did show its face on a proper release.
Yeah.
But it was lumped in with a bunch of unreleased and re-recorded and this and that. So it did go platinum and whatnot, and that album went platinum. So at least 1 million fans heard it. But again, I don't think a lot of Def Leppard fans know it, or especially the kind of lay fans.
Yeah. All right, man. I got to go for one of my heavy hitters that I always pick. Yngwie Malmsteen. We're going with the track Broken Glass. It's from '92. It was on the Fire and Ice album, the Japanese version, bonus track. And it's an incredible song, man. Like Goran Edmonds on fire vocally on this one. And it's really, really, really catchy. And if it's on Spotify, it looks the same. You know what's weird is it looks exactly the way that Winger one looks when you look it up on Spotify. Look like a notebook or a Post-it note or some shit or like that. Yeah, it comes up. They're both coming out from Warner Brothers. But really good track. If you like that Goran Edmond, Eclipse, and Fire and Ice era, you got to check out Broken Glass. So good.
Oh, dude, I love it. In fact, I just did an episode on the Rock Resurgence Radio, which you and I did the theme song for.
Yeah, we did.
And I'd never been on that on his channel before, and I was on it for an episode that's not released yet, but it's called Hair Metal Anthems, and I chose Teaser as one of my hair metal anthems, and it was Mariah from the Hair Metal Guru and Chad and I, and they were like, "Whoa, Yngwie! Like, I would never think that he'd be an anthem guy." And then they listened to it and they're like, "Fuck, that's pretty good." So yeah, I love. Point being, I love this era.
He's got some real big catchy stuff. I mean, Heaven Tonight, just forget about it. It's just amazing.
That's right, totally.
All right, brother. What's next?
Okay, random one here. Doug Aldrich. His album from 1994, there's a song called Face Down, and it features Johnny Gioli from Hardline on vocals. And Doug Aldrich has been involved with every Killer project, and obviously I love Gioli, so it matched very well. Okay.
Yeah, man, I'll have to check that one out, because, I mean, Doug, man, forget about it. He's a pro. He's amazing.
Totally.
I got a real simple one here that, I'm just going to throw it out there. Dokken, Back for the Attack.
You're in trouble, 'cause I'm back for the attack. Now I'm back.
Nice.
Even though when I interviewed Dokken, he told me that the song Back for the Attack is on Back for the Attack, but he's completely wrong. It's not on Back for the Attack. It was a B-side to the 12-inch of Dream Warriors. And I just remember getting that before Back for the Attack and thinking, like, what a great song. Awesome heavy riff and, sing-along chorus and everything. And then Back for the Attack comes out and it ain't on there. So who knows why? Don says it is. Maybe in some parallel universe it is on the album, or like a reissue or something like that. But on the version that I have that I bought in '88, it's not on there. But it's a great song, though.
Absolutely. Well, dude, I had it on the list. And I booted it off, but here's why. I listened to it again, and it's an awesome album title. But I think the song title was a little bit Midnight Maniac cliche. I didn't. Maybe. I didn't love it. I like Midnight Maniac, but I'm glad I'm glad they didn't name that album Midnight Maniac. They called it The Blitz. Mm-hmm. So in reverse, I'm glad they named the album Back for the Attack, but the song kind of didn't do it for me. And like I listened to it again and again, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of happy So Many Tears was on there and not Back for the Attack.
Yeah, in my defense, I first heard it when I was like, 10 or something. So
totally, absolutely, dude. All right, cool. So for my next one, I have one that is it's so criminal that this wasn't on Cherry Pie. So criminal that I think they should have kept the song Cherry Pie on there, but called the album Thin Disguise and made this the first or second single.
It's a thin disguise, living our life behind a thin disguise. One of these days, if I got the time.
That's how strong of a song the Warrant song Thin Disguise is. And I think it was a B-side of something. It was either Cherry Pie or Uncle Tom's Cabin or something. One of the singles off that album. And this was a B-side. And you hear it on the best of from the mid-90s. And I was confused because I was like, where is this on the first three albums? Like, this is insane, this song. It's so damn good. So, I don't know. This is the most mind-blowing one I have on my list for sure of why and how this didn't actually make an album.
Yeah, this seems like it always comes up, this song, on different discussions and whatnot. And it is a great song, and I don't know why. It was just one of those head-scratchers. Like, why? Who? Maybe it was the producer that decided it just didn't have what it took to make it big. I don't know. I just don't understand why certain songs don't make it, but that's one of those crimes, I don't know.
Yeah, totally. All right, cool. Glad you agree.
Okay, well, I got one. Not a hair metal band per se, but I feel like they're dipping into their foot in the hair metal pool with this one.
Smiling at the neighbors. Don't let them see her. Dirty,
And it's Queensryche, and it's Dirty Lil Secret. Basically showed its face just recently for me. I actually not long ago bought a reissue of Empire, because for some reason, I think long ago, I let somebody borrow my Empire CD and I never got it back. So I wanted the CD back. And this had the bonus tracks. And it had like Last Time in Paris and the Scarborough Fair. And it had Dirty Little Secret. I heard those other two, but I'd never heard this. And I'm listening to it, and it's like really good. And it almost sounds like Queensryche trying to be Lynch Mob or something like that. It's kind of like that bluesy, hair metal type thing going on. And it's really good. I mean, Queensryche can't do anything wrong. Once they got past, they could do something wrong. But during this era, 1990, they couldn't do anything wrong. So
that's right.
It's really good. And if you don't know that song, go check it out. It's on Spotify and YouTube and everything. But so cool. I really feel like that's probably why it didn't make the album. It was maybe too hair metal-y to be on Empire. But I think it's a great song. So cool.
Yep. When you got that reissue and you went, dude, have you ever heard this? I went, nope. And I immediately checked it out and I went, wow, this is a good one. So yeah, I got to credit you for making me aware of that one.
Yeah, that's a great one. All right, man, what you got for your last one?
Okay, so yeah, this is again a borderline hair metal, but it's Honeymoon.
You're not coming back. So here I am. Whoa. Lying here, missing you whenever you
And they're doing a song called Still Loving You. And one of the guys named Jason on the Hair Metal Guru channel is a Canadian guy, big Honeymoon Suite. And he turned me on to this song. And I have all their material, and I said, where is it? How come I've never heard this? This song is outstanding. How have I not heard this? And it was on this random best of that's like only available in Canada, and it was a video and I think a single, and it did well, but like it's not. I mean, I consider myself a decent Honeymoon Suite fan, and I never heard it. And so it was just recently that he told me where it was, got a video, the whole bit. So yeah, Still Loving You. It's a little bit Glass Tiger-ish at times, but that's kind of Honeymoon Suite-ish stuff anyway. It's like a hair metal Glass Tiger. So yeah, this is one where I'm really glad that it's a new addition in my life.
Sweet. It's always great, like I said, with the Queensryche, catching a new song by a band that you love that you haven't heard before. It's always a great thing. And hopefully maybe with this list that we did tonight, people discovered some new tracks. And my number one was Poison, Living for the Minute. So I've already kind of discussed what I had to say about that one. But it's like I said, it's a cool track. I think it should have made the album. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, totally, man.
Any honorables that didn't make it that you want to throw out there?
Yeah. There's a really cool one, and I couldn't really include it because it was never officially a release, but There's a video out there on YouTube of Bon Jovi prepping for the New Jersey album, and they were given House of Fire, the song that appeared on Alice Cooper's Trash album.
Yes.
Which I love. I love that song by Alice Cooper.
Yep.
But John and Richie do a really, really cool job of it, and there's an audio-only version of them doing it. The production is okay, but it's not, studio quality. So it's great. Check that out to just hear a good song with another good band forming it. And then my other honorable was a band called 21 Guns, which I really like that band. And they have like a whole CD of demos that either was going to be on their album Salute or a follow-up, which didn't really occur. And the song is called The Picture. It's a real moody kind of half ballad song. And that's just the only two honorables that I have.
Oh, yeah, I don't. There was a couple, like I think I already threw them out there, like the Sweet Lady Luck by Whitesnake, and I found a couple Alice Cooper ones. I think there was a leftover from Hey Stupid that I found in my travels, but I don't remember what it was called. But so if you're into that era, just search it up. I'm sure you'll find it on YouTube. Alice definitely has some lost tracks too that are pretty cool. It made me think about it when you said House of Fire, but I pretty much covered all mine. So, well, hey brother, it was nice chatting with you. Especially great talking with you about Metalcast, even though we probably already knew a lot of the answers to some of the questions that we asked each other.
I love it.
We were there.
That was great, dude.
Yeah, we lived it. And it was great to talk about some rare tracks. For me, like I said, I'm probably a little rusty. Haven't done too much podcasting and don't really plan on to do much more. But I definitely want to get out there and get the word out on the Metalcast CD, just because I think, not because we're trying to make a buck off of it or anything like that. I just think people who like the genre will enjoy it. So I think they should check it out.
Yeah, man, that's a good plan. I'm down to do it with you, and it was cool. I love that you ripped the contract up just like Motley Crue did, and you came out of retirement.
Who knows? Like I said, more special occasions, maybe we'll do some more episodes here and there, so I'm not ruling it out.
Awesome, dude. I like it.
All right, brother. Always a pleasure.
Yep, well, it's good, man, and thanks for everything, and I'm going to go crank the CD.
Yeah. Sounds good, man. Have a good night. Good chatting with you.
Okay, you too.
Yep. Bye.